Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Majlis mengalu-alukan kehadiran Dekan Fakulti Undang-Undang Profesor Madya Dr. J.D. Zaidi Hashim, Timbalan Dekan Akademik Dr. Hanim binti Kamarudin, juga Encik Tamendra, Wakil daripada Propsle Malaysia, Barisan Kepimpinan Jawatan Kuasa Kerja Perundang 2021-2022 serta para pelajar Fakulti Undang-Undang sekalian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat pagi saya ucapkan kepada semua. Terima kasih kerana menghadiri majlis pengenalan ringkas berkenaan dengan portal karier pelajar Fakulti Undang-Undang UKM. Untuk pengetahuan semua, portal karier ini adalah salah satu inisiatif daripada Pejabat Timbalan Dekan Akademik sama dengan perundang untuk membantu para pelajar yang perlu mendapatkan penempatan untuk latihan industri, untuk mendapatkan penempatan bagi latihan dalam kamar dan juga para pelajar yang akan bergraduasi kelak. Oleh itu, tanpa melengahkan masa, saya menjemput yang berbahagia Profesor Madya Dr. JD untuk sebagai Dekan Fakulti Undang-Undang UKM untuk menyampaikan ucapan beliau. Dengan segala hormatnya, majlis mempersilakan.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Yang berusaha Dr. Hanim Kamarudin, Timbalan Dekan Academics Fakulti Undang-Undang UKM. Yang berusaha Dr. Siti Norafizah Azizan, Penolong Dekan Hal Ehwal Pelajar Fakulti Undang-Undang UKM. Yang berusaha Encik Tamendra Wemal, Wakil daripada Propsle Malaysia, Barisan Jawatan Kuasa Kerja Perundang Sesi 21-22 serta pelajar-pelajar Fakulti Undang-Undang yang saya kasihi sekalian. Pertama sekali saya nak bersyukur kepada kehadrat Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala kerana dengan limpah kurnianya kita pada pagi ini dapat berkumpul untuk sama-sama kita melihat satu lagi inisiatif sebenarnya untuk kebaikan pelajar-pelajar Fakulti Undang-Undang. Dan untuk makluman, Fakulti Undang-Undang dan juga pelajarnya sangat terkenal sebagai pelajar yang berdaya saing, tinggi kebolehpasarannya dan juga mempunyai pelbagai kemahiran yang sangat diperlukan untuk alam pekerjaan. Namun begitu, kadang-kala untuk mendapat satu pekerjaan yang sesuai dengan jiwa pelajar-pelajar ini, pelajar mungkin berhadapan dengan kesukaran apakah kerja yang perlu mereka ceburi. Jadi oleh itu, bagi menyelesaikan masalah ini, fakulti menerusi inisiatif yang dibuat oleh Timbalan Dekan Akademik Dr. Hanim dan juga pasukannya telah bekerjasama dengan Propsle Malaysia untuk mewujudkan satu laman web khas bagi memudahkan proses mencari kerja berkenaan. Saya difahamkan selepas ini laman web ini bukan sahaja bertujuan bagi mencari tempat-tempat latihan dalam kamar ataupun chambering dan juga kerja-kerja bidang lain bagi mereka yang telah tamat belajar. Tetapi boleh juga digunakan, ini yang menariknya, untuk mencari tempat membuat latihan industri ataupun internship bagi para pelajar tahun 3. Untuk memahami dan mengetahui lebih lanjut berkaitan dengan laman web ini, selepas ini saya juga difahamkan bahawa Encik Tamendra akan membawa para pelajar untuk melihat ataupun walk through, exploring laman web berkenaan. Jadi seperti yang sedia maklum, salah satu matlamat teras universiti watan kita ini ialah bagi memastikan GE ataupun graduates employability yang tinggi kepada pelajar-pelajarnya. Jadi saya pasti matlamat ini telah dapat dicapai dengan cara yang lebih inovatif, iaitu dengan mewujudkan laman sesawang mencari kerja daripada Propsle Malaysia ini. Jadi akhir kata, terima kasih saya ucapkan kepada Propsle Malaysia atas kesudian bersama-sama dengan Fakulti Undang-Undang dalam projek ini. Saya juga berharap agar usaha ini mendatangkan lebih banyak manfaat buat pelajar-pelajar Fakulti Undang-Undang. Fakulti juga telah merasakan kita telah banyak membuat yang terbaik bagi menyediakan pelajar-pelajar kita untuk menghadapi cabaran dan dugaan di luar sana. Jadi dengan usaha ini saya kira maka lengkaplah peranan fakulti yang bukan sahaja melatih pelajar tapi malah membantu pelajar dalam mencari pekerjaan dan juga penempatan bagi latihan-latihan yang diperlukan untuk menjadi seorang peguam yang terkemuka pada suatu hari masa. Di akhir kata saya doakan yang terbaik untuk semua insya-Allah dan semoga usaha ini diberkati oleh Allah Subhanahu Wa Taala. Saya rasa sekian sahaja ucapan saya. Wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh dan terima kasih.
Terima kasih diucapkan kepada Prof. Madia Dr. JD di atas ucapan yang diberikan sebentar tadi. Saya harapkan semua dapat mendengar ucapan tu dan mengambil sedikit sebanyak semangat yang telah diberikan oleh dekan dalam ucapan sebentar tadi. Saya juga ingin mengucapkan, majlis juga ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada dekan dan juga timbalan dekan akademik Fakulti Undang-Undang kerana bersama-sama hadir pada majlis kita pada hari ini. Selepas ini, majlis akan diteruskan lagi dengan sesi pengenalan ataupun walkthrough oleh saudara Tamendra. Dengan segala hormatnya majlis menjemput dan mempersilakan Encik Tamendra untuk mengendalikan sesi selepas ini.
Thank you, Arif. Hope you all are having a great day. Thank you for that great speech, Dr. JD, and thanks for having me today, guys. So I'm Tarma. I'm from Propsle. We're an Australian company. We now work in Malaysia. And generally, the whole idea about Propsle, and I'll get into this later as well, is not just here to get you a job. So it's not something like Job Street where it's like, here's a bunch of jobs, please go and apply. It's about finding you guys the right job, the best fit job. I'm sure a lot of you guys are getting to the point where you're looking for what to do after university or you're thinking about internships. And personally, I struggled a lot out of university. I didn't know what I wanted to do, especially because I didn't do a degree. I didn't do something like law that was kind of, I guess it can give you a path where it's like, okay, like I did law, I'm going to be a lawyer. I did something like econs, and that was kind of broad. And I had absolutely no idea what I was going to do. I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. And I just kind of winged it. And it was a lot of work basically because I had no idea what I was doing. I was jumping from here, I was jumping from there, and there was no guidance, there was no resource, and that's kind of where Possible uh, wants to be. That's kind of where we want to help you guys. That's what we want to help you guys with. So what I want to do today is a few things. I have prepared a little bit of a slideshow. Generally, it's just um, skills that you should be refining if you're looking to showcase it on your CV, kind of what the graduate landscape is like. Basically, kind of like a career basics thing. So I'll jump into that really quickly, and then at the end, I'll also do sort of an interactive thing where I show you guys how the um, portal works that we've done for you guys, how to use it to your best advantage, and how to get what you want out of it. However, what I do want you guys to know is let's try and keep this as casual as possible. So I'm sure you guys are on YouTube or you're watching it on the link that I gave you. If you click to the link, it'll take you to the YouTube page and you can comment anything. But let's try and keep this as an open dialogue, right? Ask me anything you want. If you have any questions about any of the things that I'm saying, feel free to ask me about it. At the end of the day, it's always better that I can answer your questions rather than talk for, just talk. I can talk for ages. That's kind of why I'm here. So just ask away, ask anything you want, any clarification you need. Yeah, and let's try and keep this as casual as possible. Let's have an open dialogue. I think that would be best. So that being said, welcome to the UKM Law, ex Propsle or career basics seminar. So there we go. So yeah, I'm Parma. I'm a BA Econs and Development Studies. If you guys don't know what development studies is, I didn't know what development studies was until I went to university. Fun fact: I signed up to do law. I did a year of law in university, and then I was like, wait, I can't do this. This isn't for me. And then I switched to econs, and then I found out about this development studies thing while I was in university. And I just did it. And that really is sort of the example of how aimless and directionless. I kind of was going into university. I was just gonna like do anything that sort of interests me. Uh, and that same aimlessness sort of followed me out of university as well because yeah, I wanted to do econs, but jobs in econs to be an economist are very far and in between. It's basically work for the central bank or work at a bank. That's kind of all you can do with your skills, or maybe go get a think tank or something. But those jobs don't come very often, so I kind of just ended up doing whatever came my way, which was I ended up working at an investment bank, and I moved into management consultancy. Then I ended up here, and that's kind of how life is for most graduates. You kind of end up jumping from here to here. You kind of go from wherever job sort of comes your way, and that's not bad. Uh, do like adventures, but I would say a lot of people don't understand it, and it really good amount. They don't really package it, really stuff. Oh, these jobs, and it becomes a big hassle. So what Propsle wants to do is stop this essentially. We want to give you guys the pathway so that you can look for a job that isn't just going to make you happy, but it's going to be best fit towards you so that you can get the best sort of connection is poor. Guys, give me 1 second, yeah? Just 1 minute, yeah, guys. I'm just switching to another internet connection. Okay, hopefully that's better. If it's not good, please do let me know. Um, I have switched to what I assume is better internet. All right, hopefully everything's clear and everyone can hear me. So as I was saying, I was kind of all over the place in university, kind of do whatever I wanted, and it wasn't best. So what is going to stop you guys from essentially going through those kind of processes? A lot of people who worked at Propsle actually do the same process. So we just kind of, you know, mucked about, trying to look for something that we wanted. And the thing is, big reason a lot of university kids do this is there's a huge information cemetery in university. A lot of companies know a lot of things, but the information isn't out there for you guys to access, and they kind of like it like that because they get the upper hand in terms of positioning the information and letting you know what they want you to know as opposed to what you should know. So that's where Prosper, that's the problems Prosper are trying to fix. Those are the problems and that's the kind of landscape we're trying to create where we give you all the information and you guys can then make an informed decision based on the reality of what it's like to work on those jobs, and then you can set yourself up in a career out of university, as opposed to spending 2 to 3 years of your life sort of jumping about, looking for something that you like, hopefully finding something that you like, and then starting a career. If you can jumpstart that process for you, it's going to be uh, a lot smoother sailing long term. That's what we're going to, and I'll go to, so you know what job you're going to love, because it's about us. So you got to know what you want. And I'm going to tell you how to do that, kind of. What the graduate landscape is like today, what employers are looking for, how to show employees you have the right skills, how to get your foot in the door, and then just generally how we can think outside the box, how we can get different career options, and essentially how to do that, how to look for all these careers that exist, but a lot of graduates don't really apply for them. That's what we're going to do today. So, what are we solving for? Essentially, it's important to do to yourself what you like to do, and you can um, you essentially be things. So, the first thing you love, if you love, congratulations. But you can do law. You can love a subject and not want to work there as well. I know tons of friends who did law, um, and didn't want to be lawyers. Like, they loved to read the subject. They're super passionate about it, but working in the industry just wasn't for them. And they could make the decision because they knew what the industry was like, right? They had the information. Maybe their dad or their mom was lawyers, or they have people that have told them what it's like. Oh, this is not me. So you gotta know what you love. You gotta know what appeals to you and what you're passionate about. And when I say what you love in this context, it's not just something you love doing, something you love. Sorry, not something you just love, uh, like studying, but something you love doing. Something you can rock up to every day, and you're like, yeah, I can do this every single day of my life, uh, or at least for the next few years. It's not really a problem. The next thing is obviously, what are you good at? So at the end of the day, we always be doing something that we're decent at the least, or at least something we can see ourselves becoming good at. Because that a lot of people may deny it, but a lot of motivation, personal motivation, especially stems from that. Uh, you know, uh, if you're good at something, it's going to be easy to motivate yourself to do your best at it, or to keep doing better at it, so that you can get the best out of whatever that was. So, really think hard about what are you good at, what do you want to be good at, what can you see yourself being good at, and it's gonna really give you a really good idea of what you should and could be doing. And last but not least is what pays well. And I maybe some people are looking, oh, this is objective, but I put it here because it's very subtle. What pays different ever spoken. Also, what response to leave university, it's you know go move out, go find a place to stay, go do your thing, go set your life up. Some people may leave university, they got to get a job, and they got to support people, be it family or significant others, whatever. And what pays well is different based on all those situations. Even if I were to give two people who are technically in the same situation, I'm sure what pays well is very different to the both of them. So think hard, think thoughtfully about what pays well or what is good pay to you, and also don't be afraid to ask for it. That's the other thing. I feel like a lot of people go into interviews, especially as graduates, and they're like, "Oh, yeah, I can't ask for this because that's not what graduates get paid." So what? The worst case scenario is you ask and you don't get it. The best case scenario is you ask and you get it. And what usually happens is they kind of meet you halfway, at least a quarter of the way there, and you would have gotten a pay increase, just for asking. Give me a second here, guys. Kind of throat's kind of messed up because of COVID. But yeah, at the end of the day, we kind of two. Like I said, what you love, and happy where you're gonna be broke at these days. You love and you do. Now, it's just a dream. These are you for yourself. It's a dream. You dream of doing these things. Start your own company. You do something that you're good at, that you can see yourself specializing and doing well in the world. And that's those kind of situations where you're doing what you love and you're paying yourself really well. And if you're good at what pays, well, you're going to be rich and you're going to be bored. And this is a big problem. Trust me, if you're bored at work, it becomes extremely mundane and you're going to have a horrible time every day. Your job, uh, at its most simplest form, is somewhere you spend like half your day at. And if you spend half your day doing something that's completely mind-numbing and boring, you are going to have a bad time. So let's try our best to avoid putting ourselves in situations like that. And if you just think thoughtfully about all these things before you apply for a job, most more often than not, we can find a win, right? And what I mean by thinking thoughtfully about all these things is essentially this: if you think about these specific traits and the trade-offs that come with any one of these things, and I'll sort of breeze through them very quickly, you can find the win. It's just a lot of the time, especially as graduates, we don't think of these things. It never really comes up to us, or we've never been given the time of day, the information to even know that, oh, these are things I should be thinking about when it comes to a job. Usually, when it comes to thinking of a job as a graduate, you're just sort of like, oh, uh, I'm done with university. I need to get a job. I need to make money. That's kind of where the conversation starts and stops. It's a bit simplistic, but let's make it a bit more complex because that's how we find ourselves, or we set ourselves up for long-term career success and not just getting a job. There's a big difference in those two things that I just said. So, people, do you want to be important? Oh, be challenged, but try. There's a big difference. That raw every day and honestly trying to solve for things, and there are jobs where you just know what's going to happen every day. It's very cut and dry. These are the things that you're doing every day. Um, and it's like, what do you want? What suits your character the most? What environment are you going to perform the best? Do you want to be managed, or do you want to be extremely autonomous? Do you want a manager that's constantly there telling you what to do, checking up on you all the time, asking you if these tasks are completed, setting your timelines, etc., or you want autonomy? Like, here's the task. Here's the general timeline that we need is done. Please go and wait and come back to me when it's done. Now, maybe some of you are looking at it and like, oh, one of those scenarios sounds so much better than the other. Bad, that's the trade-off, right? That's already like what makes you different from one another. And there's no right answer to any of these things. That's the other thing I need you guys to know. Anything I say throughout this whole thing, there's no like right answer. It is you in order what's best for you. Work from an office. You want to work from the HQ. One. Much better. So yeah, do you want to work from HQ? Do you want to work from an office? Or do you want to work remotely? Now, I think maybe we had this talk maybe 5 years ago. Not very relevant. Not something I really be asking you guys because jobs that were remote were pretty fine in between, and they were very niche. Mainly coding, uh, computer science jobs, more specifically like design jobs, stuff like that. But in this landscape, post COVID, or in my case, like currently COVID, um, it's it's a very important question. And I will say this: I think everybody should work in an office once. I think you should know what it's like to get up in the morning, go in these people that you've never seen, and you on trust me, different. Uh, but see what that's like. See whether it's appealing to you in any which way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to be. Like I said, there's no right or wrong answer here. But see what it's like, and think about see yourself doing this long term. Do life. Look for a job that's high. Maybe you can see really a wonderful job set you work with. feel like I hate this. I am so much more productive at home. I hate the commute, and that's when you kind of like working remotely. So I obviously worked from HQ when I left university. That was kind of the only thing that was available. But I got a taste for working from home because of COVID. Uh, and I never looked back. I knew this was for me. I was much more productive at home. It let me do all the things I was doing, but gave me back so much of time. As you can see, I'm literally at home right now, quarantined in my room. But um, I can't get my job. Keep me distracted. It's hard to specific task, whatever. And you know, so think about these things to use you the best. Do you want to be a generalist? Do you want to specialize in something, or do you just want to be the person, sort of jack of all trades, master of none? And both the thing is like they set you up for very different career paths. One sort of makes you sort of sets you in that domain, and one kind of gives you the option to jump. But again, what do you like? What do you see yourself doing, or what appeals to your skill set the best? Do you want to be a lone wolf, or do you want to be a player? Now we put lone wolf here, but I just want you guys to know that there's no such thing as actually a lone wolf when you're working as basically like a freelancer. Because even if you are working in an organization and you are a lone wolf, you still probably have one manager that you have to respond to, and that's already a team. Um, but it's basically like, do you want to work in a big team doing tasks with lots of people every day and everyone contributes to a specific thing, or do you just want to be the one person that is given the task, just do it and then report to the manager, it's done? What's going to help you be the most productive? You can be ethical or- yeah. Do you want to outside the box? Do you want to analyze the information that's coming? And last but not least, do you want to be making that impact, or do you want to be making that financial reward? Now, I say compared to everything else, these are one of those things where if you are lucky, you can actually find something that's pretty in between where you can get paid quite a decent amount and you can be making a good social impact. But in the context, it's kind of like, what social impact is it? Social impacts come in every shape and form. So it's not cut and dry. It's not like, oh, I'm working at a charity or I'm doing animal conservation. Um, it's really different depending on each situation. So you just got to think about what's the best, or what exactly the social impact is shaped for you. And yeah, you can pretty much find a good trade-off between that. So these are kind of the things I'm talking about in terms of the trade-offs you're going to have to and the situation think about. You're going to put this link in a bit. Actually, a personal, so it's going to help sort of ask, have a deeper conversation with yourself and your friends and your lecturers, etc. Um, After that, but do it on your own first. Don't get other people input on it because only you really know you. So do it by yourself before anything. So let's set the scene, right, guys? Um, this graph essentially shows you one thing, that over the last 20 years, the amount of people that have left university, that have joined the uh, job search with a bachelor's degree is increasing. So way back when your parents' time, etc., it was pretty scarce to go to university to get a degree. But this is already on the uptick, and this is Australia. But we've seen the graphs for Asia, and it's actually a lot higher. A lot more people in this region have degrees or more focused on getting degrees. So um, that's the first thing you got to keep in mind, that more people are getting degrees. But more than just getting degrees, it's more people also doing better in those degrees that they're doing. So you're not just competing against other degree holders, you're competing with other degree holders that are also doing really well in their degrees too. And that's basically the scene, right? What I can also tell you is that for every single job that you apply for, on average, it's about 42 applicants. Now, that's an average number. I've also seen jobs that have like 400 applicants, and those are for your obvious companies. I'm sure I don't have to name them. And I've also seen jobs that have like 5 applicants, 3 applicants, and it's case by case. What appeals to the market, obviously, what appeals to the person, and how effective these companies are at getting their programs, etc. out there. So know that at any given time, you are generally going to be competing against 41 other people, minus yourself. And that's quite a lot of people just to compete for one slot. That's a lot of work for a recruiter. They got to look through 42 applications. They got to think of 42 people individualistically and how they can apply themselves to those jobs. So how do we stand out? Essentially, this right. We got to showcase the skills that employers are looking for. And again, I'll go through this really quickly. And is this four things, right? That's how we kind of categorize them. Are the recruiters assessing you and think it's important? Like the skill, are they assessing you and think this is quite important? They're assessing you on the skill, but they don't think it's very important. They're assessing you anyway, or they just not assess you at all. And very important to keep this in mind. So the first skill is communication, and this is something I've always preached about. Where it's let's brush up on our communication. Let's be good communicators. Let's take the time to be thoughtful about our messaging and take the time to make sure that everyone who is listening to us or has to um, you know maybe read something that we wrote, because that's also communication. Um, Make sure that they can understand it, right? That it's simple, that we can make people can understand what we're saying. And being a good communicator is so key, right? 87% of recruiters assess it and say it's extremely important. 30% assess it and say it's quite important, but everybody is assessing it and essentially saying we care that you can communicate well and it's going to look good on you. Besides that, it's teamwork. Like I was saying now, no such thing as like a lone wolf kind of scenario when you're working. 83% assess it and say it's very important. 14% assess and say it's quite important. 3% assess it and say it's not that important. But as we can see, if 97% say it's important, quite or very, it's important. And working in a team is key, right? Because even if you are relatively alone, when you're in a working landscape, you do end up doing a lot of teamwork. And being able to be a productive member of the team, molding your work style to help that team work better as well, such an advantage and something we should really care about, making sure we are good at as well. In personal skills, basically how we carry ourselves, how do we speak to one another, um, so key. I'm sure lecturers have banged on about this as well. How do we present ourselves? How do we talk to our colleagues? How do we essentially it's a very sort of personal thing, but yeah, um, more than 90% assess this and say it's important and it's something that we should care about, because essentially if we present ourselves well, that's your foot to the door already. So let's care about how we present ourselves, right? Resilience. And this is where we start to get into the not assess part of the skills, but still a good chunk, still 80% of them say it's important. And I say being resilient is key, because when working, you really don't know what's going to come your way, and the things that do come your way could really come out. I feel, and if you're not resilient, it could really catch you off guard, and it could throw you off. But if we tell ourselves that we can do it, and we set ourselves up for success, we set ourselves up to be prepared for these things by setting ourselves up for success. So work on being resilient. Put yourselves in scenarios that aren't so comfortable, and try to work out of it. And that is, I feel a lot of people think resilience is being able to do things alone. It's really not the case. Resilience is also being knowing when to ask for help, so that you can do whatever task has come your way to its best ability. Because we can't do everything on our own. Uh, we gotta know when we gotta ask for help, so that we can learn the right or get the right information, so that we can accomplish whatever goal has come our way. So resilience comes in all shapes and forms, but and it's something we should care about. That's essentially what I'm gonna say. And yeah, the rest, let me pretty quickly. Ending of the organization, a lot of graduates for the interview, but the big thing, the extra. Let's learn about the organization. Let's learn what they do, how we can contribute here, and be a solid asset to the team, to the company, and you can only do that if you take the time to read up and study the place that you are going to potentially work at. A lot of graduates don't really think this is important. They think like, oh, it's just about me. But if you show that you care about the organization, that's such an advantage because it shows that you've taken the extra mile to know. Essentially, that's kind of it, right? A lot of guys don't. They just rock up. They're like, oh yeah, thank you for looking at my CV, give me the job. But during the interview process, that's kind of where it starts. That's where they're going to ask you all these questions. And only if you know the organization can you really answer most of the questions that come your way. Self-management, I don't think I get into this pretty deeply, but yeah, just how you manage yourself, how you manage the tasks that come your way. Um, we're still looking at a 70% plus importance ratio right there. Initiative and enterprise, kind of like the extension of resilience. If it's not your task, if you can contribute here and do well, are you going to do it? If you see something that can be done better, are you going to try and suggest things so we can do it? Do we have the initiative, and are we enterprising enough to want to see what thing done to its best ability? Uh, Such an important skill. Emotional intelligence, now kind of down here, but I think personally it's such an important skill. Uh, Emotional intelligence, also known as EQ, which is IQ, but for emotions, so important. Not just to make you a better employee, not just to make you a better employer, but just make you a better person, a better friend. Um, if we care about emotional intelligence, if we take the time to be empathetic, if we take the time to understand the surroundings, read the room properly before we do anything, uh, we can just be much more pleasant to be around, much more better to be around other people, as much better for other people to be around you as well. And people do appreciate it as much as they don't say it. So let's take the time to brush up on our EQ and be high emotionally intelligent beings, right? Planning an organization, kind of like self-management, but basically, if things are given, uh, can you prioritize and know if it's not fit to you based on like what's going on? Uh, yeah, that's kind of it. And I think, as you can see, uh, not as important as it would, and I'm sure people have been harping on about leadership for years to you guys growing up. I'd say leadership, especially in a working scenario, it basically boils down to this, right? And it's how do we promote you as a manager? When I assess someone for leadership, it's okay. If I think you have leadership capabilities, basically means I'm going to promote you down the line to eventually give you your own team that you can manage because you have that leadership capability. But some people don't want that. They are really competent, they're extremely excellent. They just don't want that. They want to manage people, and that's fine as well. So we promote you down a different route. So into a route essentially where you're just a doer, right? Um, will all have their own merits. And it's something again, you have to look into yourself and see like, do you want to be the person that is that leader that is managing a team, or you just want to do and do well whatever task is given your way? Just think about that. Socially aware, again, kind of the extension of understanding the organization, but this is you understand the landscape of the market. Your competitors are understand how this company, um, their products, how they get that market. Their These are all things to know about that you're gonna have to research before you go into a job. Technologically savvy, I don't think this is a problem any of you guys have. If I'm not mistaken, you are pretty young. So this is, yeah, you've kind of been around technology your whole life. But let's take the time to make sure that we know how to use Microsoft Word properly. We know how to use PowerPoint properly. If you want to learn how to use Excel, such an advantage. You guys don't even know how much of an advantage knowing Excel is. Um, do we know how to code? That's going to open a whole bunch of other jobs for you guys. Do you know design? That's going to open a whole other bunch of jobs for you guys. Uh, that's what I mean. When we talk about, if you know how to Google search properly, that is also going to help you guys. So the difference between Google Scholar and Google and type of things you get from those things, these are all things that kind of surround being technologically savvy. So let's take the time to brush up on it. Easily done. Relevant experience. It very important. It's quite important. More than not that important. 50% don't assess you. And I think what really, I'm sure a lot of people have told you like, oh, if you don't have a work experience, you're going to be left short. Maybe the industry like law, you're going to need to do whatever X thing to get into whatever X pupillage or whatever. But I also know friends who didn't. They just didn't have the time or the ability to do it. And eventually, yeah, maybe you got to start off somewhere small, but they end up exactly where you'd want to end up as a lawyer at the big firms, in the big cases, etc. So, and that applies for any industry. Maybe you're gonna have to start small, but if you start small and do well, you can end up wherever you want to end up. So maybe you're gonna go around as opposed to going straight, but it's okay. It's all about the journey anyway, right? And it's all about the things that you learn. And I'll even expand on this point a bit later on. And the last thing, it's 11, 36%, 30% say it's not 50% because it's they also I can't on their grade. Maybe just uh, and at the end of the day, working a job, it's not a test. It's much more than that. So as you can see, it's the last skill because it's a skill where the most amount of recruiters don't even really assess you on it. It's gonna get you. The thing about university grades, it's gonna get your foot in the door a lot easier. People are like, oh, they doesn't graduate from UKM with the first class honors. Oh, or do you guys do like 4.0 GPA? But yeah, they just graduate with the best results from UKM. We're gonna give them an interview straight up. So that's how that works as well. But if you have a good CV that's well rounded, and maybe your grades aren't the best, you can still get a foot in the door. It's just how we do it. Now, because of all this, I'm sure these graphs don't really look very scary anymore. Yeah, okay, lots of people have degrees, and a lot of people do well in those degrees, but yeah, it's not being assessed that much. It's just, do I have all these other skills give me the upper hand out there? Um, and based out of all the skills, when we speak to recruiters and employers, what are the things that they actually feel candidates lack the most? Number one is understanding of organization coupled with commercial awareness. As much as these skills were all the way down here, as we can see, it's what graduates like the most. And it's a skill that shows you actually take the most initiative, to be honest, when you walk into an interview. That you've done research, that you care about the things that are going on, that you care about the company they're applying to, you have a meaningful understanding of things that are happening around you. So let's make sure we do that, right? If you walk into any interview, before you walk into a law firm's interview, see what kind of law they specialize in, what big cases they've done. If you do just a random company, what they do, who their competitors are, what products do they have, maybe have suggestions about how it can be better. Don't ever be afraid to suggest, even if you're new. The best companies don't have a hierarchy, they just care about performance. And that's something we should always keep in mind. Relevant work experience, communication skills, resilience, emotional intelligence, all skills basically lack. Uh, It goes down. Go through, been through this. These are the skills graduates lack the most when they go into interviews. But it's not the skills that the difference between this is this what they're testing for. So keep this in mind. You know what to brush up on and you know what to showcase. So how do we show that we have these skills um, on our CV or just in general? The first is taking a leadership role in college, be it a student side, a sporting team. It already shows like one of these things shows all of this. That's something you should keep in mind. Do casual work. Go work at Starbucks, take a temporary gigs, freelance. These are all things that are gonna show recruiters that you have these skills. Excuse me, sorry. Uh, Contribute if you don't have a leadership role. Contribute to your clubs and societies. Be an active member in those societies. And yeah, just like don't fall asleep at the wheel, right? Take a study abroad semester if you have the chance. If not, it's not really an important thing. We put it in here because it's always good. If you have the chance, please do grab it by the neck. Take on a role in a sporting organization, as a team player. And what I mean by sporting organization is like stuff that's in school, and the sports clubs that are out of school. Go and be active there. Have a unique hobby and interest. And I'm not joking here. Like being passionate about a hobby, doing something that you love passionately and actively, it shows that you have all these things as well. Because if you don't care about something enough, you're not going to do any of this. To excel in that hobby. volunteer and fundraise if you have the chance. By all means, go and volunteer and fundraise. Go launch a small business. All of these things, and the business doesn't have to be successful, by the way. Just like start. It just shows that okay, you have an idea and you're willing to like sit out, put it on the ground, put it out. All of these things show that you have all of these things. It's you may think like, oh, do they? But they do. Like, we've spoken to recruiters, they say it, depending obviously the extent you do all these things, but if you do it actively, uh, it's just about how you frame it to your recruiters, right? So don't be afraid to talk about your hobby. Don't be afraid to be passionate about sports. Don't be afraid to start that small business or take that freelance job. Just go for it. Oh yeah, take a short course to get a micro credential, something like Coursera. And the last thing I have to give you, the last thing I have to say is go take the opportunity to brush up on public speaking. Go join Toastmasters, join debate. UKM is a great debate club. When I was debating, I used to debate against UKM all the time. Uh, but being a good speaker is going to open up a ton of opportunities for you. Go and moot if you're in law. Mooting's fun as well. Um, but go brush up on speaking. Put yourself in situations where you can or you have to speak in class or in a friends group, at a party or whatever, at a wedding, like go give a speech. Just go and brush up on speaking because being a good speaker, being confident to speak, being confident to present our ideas is gonna give you such an upper hand. It's just gonna give you opportunities. So let's keep that in mind as we roll forward. All of these things are gonna show that we have responsibility with the depth of literally this is right. When you is be the is interested enough to then work every day and these things show me that okay, yeah, like you're more than just what you're studying, right? You're all these other things. Um, give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, and do we pass the airport test? Now, I'm sure you're wondering what that is, but let's put ourselves in an airport. You're sitting at the gate. You're waiting for your plane to board. You got about an hour to kill. Stranger comes, sits in front of you. They start talking. Now, in about 5 minutes, you're going to make up your mind between whether you're going to keep talking to this person until you board your plane, or are you going to excuse yourself to the toilet and go do something else. That's the airport test. And a lot of interviewers do this in interviews where they just sort of, you know, you ramble on, they ask you some random questions, and you may think, what does that have to do with the interview? But that's the airport test. It's to see whether you're more than just, your CV. Are you an interesting person with a bit of character? So, what is a good strategy, right? Format our CVs. This is it's an extremely format. You need on it, and also, so where you're from, email contact should be always the first thing they see, so they can get very easy. Small summary, 2 to 3 sentences, just sort of what you studied, what are you studying, uh, you know, kind of like what are you looking for or what are you passionate about, just very quickly, 2 3 things done. Education, I didn't even put my high school or my college, I literally just put my university, but it's to each their own. So just, what you studied, where did you study it, your grades if you want to. I put relevant um, module that I did based on like the company that I was applying to, and then how long you studied from what year to what year. Sorry, and then just sort of experience. That's literally the rest of your CV. 10% of it is education and 90% experience where we worked. Uh, you know, or sort of what your leadership roles were, what sports do you play, what languages do you speak, what skills do we have? Have we been published anywhere? What technology are you good at? What awards have you received? All of that, throw it all in there. And as you work, the longer you work, the more this will change. But as we leave university, let's really take the time to showcase all these things that we've done in high school, be it in college, be it university, and show that look, we're more than the degree that we're studying, we're more than the job that we're applying for. We've done all these other things that we care about, all these other things as well. It's gonna give you a big upper hand. So this is a super strong CV format. You can screenshot it if you want. I'll give you guys like 5 seconds now. But at the end of this, go to YouTube as well. You'll find this. So you can check it there. So yeah, the timeline. If you're in third year, negate this. Don't. I actually never set anyone to a timeline because everyone's on their own timeline. That's what I believe. But if you do want sort of general direction, uh, this is kind of based in Australia, but graduate jobs do start in January. Some of them start in March. Some of them start in September. It's actually there's always seasons, so just apply this to what's most relevant to you. But for example, if your graduate job will start in January, um, application would close in March to May. So if you were to apply, you can you should be start sending your applications now. These are for the January applications. If you want to start working later on, applications will probably close in July, August. September applications are going to close in September, October, November. So you have time. It's just when you want to start. But yeah, so your application is going to be sent in time. Make sure you check and see when applications, when those things are happening. If you want to do summer internships, is where gonna it's gonna and doing it is 3 probably you have your whole focus on maybe getting grades up or just enjoy university, which I think everybody should. Summer internships would have closed in probably July. Still have some time to apply if you want to go do a summer internship. You want your strong CVs to be drafted before June. Now, my advice is actually just drafting it. Whether you're in first year, whether you're in third year, second year, just start drafting your CV. Start showing it to your parents, start showing it to your lecturers, go bring it to your career center, ask them about it, ask your friends about it. Um, these are all places where you can get a good idea and you can start drafting because the first draft is going to be the worst draft. Let's always remember that. So let's start drafting it as best we can, as soon as we can, to give ourselves the advantage of having the strongest CV. And your first step at a time, if essentially you can do that time as well. But again, you probably time your capacity, and so take to do all the things that we mentioned about here. Go to get a leadership role, go start a job. Get into your hobbies, do it. So, how do we find our first good employer? And give me 1 second, guys. Back. So yeah, how do we first graduate? That's a really important question that a lot of you guys. There are many different forms. Uh, what we can do is this though. Based on the breakdown, most of you are going to find your first graduate employee through networking, be it with your parents, your friends, your parents' friends, your friends' parents, but it's through your network, and that's how you're going to find um, the your first employee. You're going to find out about them, or they're going to help you get your foot in the door, etc. 29% of you probably find your job advertisement, be it on LinkedIn, be it in newspaper. 12% are going to use your career centers, and 30% is just any other means. Just maybe the job just falls in your lap. Who knows? But most of you are going to find it through networking. So in terms of network, how do we use our network to find the first? What are the best channels to network with? Right. Obviously, there's a direct employer approach where you just go right to the employer directly. You're just like, "Hi, I'm very interested in working this X job. Do you have anything that's available for me?" And obviously, your friends and family, you could talk to your parents, etc. work contacts, or wherever you're working, be it freelancing or part time. You have them, college mates, your faculty members, your lecturers. You can ask them about it, talk to them about it. They're here to talk to you. Career fair information sessions. So, these are all places you can go. And what strategies can we use to network? Obviously, and so congratulations, you guys are already doing that today. So put yourself out there, right? Go for career sessions, go for information sessions, go for career fairs that come, go talk to recruiters. That's how you build your network. That's how they remember you. I've literally had situations where I went to career fairs, I met the recruiter, and it was just sort of very casual. Didn't really think much about it. Applied for the job like a year or two later, not even a graduate job, just like something else. Went for the interview, like, oh yeah, I remember you, X thing. So you never know who you're gonna leave a lasting impression on. And I've also found really niche information in these career fairs as well. They don't really tell you if you don't see them in person. So take advantage of it. If you have the opportunity to go, do go. Ask for introductions and never be afraid to do this. Ask your friends, ask your parents, write to college alumni, uh, old colleagues, and ask like, "Oh, can you help me introduce to this person? I'm interested in here." And best advice: don't go like, I want to work here. Like, "Oh, hi, can you introduce them? I'd like to ask some questions about what it's like to work here," and then talk about it. Be gracious. Appreciate that they're giving you some time, and then usually that it kind of leads up to, "Oh yeah, you want me to pass your CV, whatever." So let's not be overbearing, and let's respect the people that are giving us time of day. Use LinkedIn, very strong. If you do congratulate you won the game. A lot of I do university. I think I want first job. Thinking double LinkedIn account. As fast as be lots of chill on all the time. That's where a lot of them find a lot of mid-tier talent. So like your 5 6 years working experience, but they're there and you can talk to them, and it's already a huge advantage. Right? So cold calling and cold email, just write in, "Hi, I'm interested in this job. Can you please let me speak to X person in HR or recruitment or whatever." Walk in, and this is rare, but it's going to leave an impression. So if you're nearby whatever office, just walk in like, "Hi, I'm a graduate student. I'm interested in working here. Is there anyone I can talk to?" And they usually do, at least that you talk to someone. And obviously, there's the organic way to build a relationship. We kind of talked about all this as well. But yeah, if you're working casually, if you have a leadership role, if you're an active member in whatever society, you could have built a network as well. So these are all ways where you can build our network. And when we talk about thinking outside the box, this is what we talked about. So 80% of applications are going to 20% of employers. So that's 80% of employers that are only receiving 20% of applications. So that's a whole wide world of employers that are waiting to get your CV, and more often than not, currently at least, they're not. So let's change this, right? Let's make sure we really send out and put ourselves out there as best as we can. And maybe you guys don't do it because, oh, I don't want to work at a small employer, but there's a big advantage, especially as a graduate, to do that. Um, and this is essentially the breakdown. So it's three main things, right? Training, career progression, exposure, and experience. And this is the big difference maker when you're a graduate. If you're working for a large employer, it's usually very generic sort of training with generic learning outcomes. Small employers are going to give you very one-on-one training. It's very tailored to what skills you need uh, to accelerate yourself in those organizations. Career progression is obviously very hierarchical in big companies, and it's very rigid. So it's like, oh, you're here for X amount of years, you get X promotion. But smaller employers, you can get a promotion as soon as 3 months or 4 months working there if you just perform well, and that's fantastic on your CV. Exposure and experience. Look at a large employer, maybe you get exposed to large projects, but even so, your exposure will be limited to your department and what you're involved with. But if you work at a small company, you're going to be exposed to everything from day one, right? You'll be able to talk to the CEO, you'll be exposed to everything that's happening in that company, everything that's happening as well. And that's just going to help you accelerate your growth in terms of being a savvy employee a lot quicker. The end of the day summary is large employees essentially you're part of a large team, but with limited responsibility. But small employees you get thrown into the deep end, and maybe again it's all about trade-offs. Maybe you like this, and that's fine. And maybe some of you guys like this as well, or you can see yourself at least doing this for the first few years of your career. Do it. Give yourself that shot because it's going to help you a lot in the long run. A lot of people I know who work at smaller companies are working at large companies now because you get headhunted. Eventually, right? It's not that, oh, I work at a small company and I'm stuck here forever. That's never the case. More often than not, you work at a small company and you're going to end up working at a large company down the road, because that's what the pipeline is like. And I know a lot of people who worked at large companies, left for smaller companies, and then eventually went back to larger companies and much bigger roles, because you need that progression, right? You need that acceleration. And sometimes large companies just can't give that to you if you just don't have the right opportunities there. How do we find small employers? Obviously, we can use our network. We can use LinkedIn. Like I said, such a strong tool because you can filter by the amount of employees in that company. Companies are required to say how many people are working there. And you can use stuff like Google Maps, just put in what industry you're working in, see what pops up. Because not Google search, but Google Maps. Because most companies have their location, but maybe some of them don't have a website. So that's one way. And just cold call. Um, and let's think out of the box, right? So a big reason we're working with UKM is essentially for this. We want you guys to not keep yourselves in the box of law. We want you guys to know that there's so many other things outside of law that you can be doing. And first thing you should know is 26% of all employers are hiring from all areas of study. That means 26% of employers don't care what you did. As long as your CV fits the bill and they think you're an industry person, bam, here's a job, or at least an interview, and that's your foot in the door, right? 15% hire from 6+ different areas of study, 34% hire from 2 to 5 different areas of study, and only 25% are very specific. So these are obviously your engineering jobs, your, you know, jobs in medicine, etc. So like, that makes sense. But 75% of the market is essentially saying, look, like, we don't really care what you're doing. As long as you fit the bill in terms of a person, we think you're A1 plus, you should apply for these jobs. And that's something you should really keep in mind. And I guess it's, if you use a tool like JobStreet or whatever, it's kind of hard to filter based on that. But I'm going to show you how you can do that on Propsle. Um, just to conclude, what have we talked about today? What have we talked about today? Let's think deeply about our careers. And let me just throw this in chat now. Let's think deeply about our careers. Let's think deeply about ourselves and what we like, because that's what's going to give us the biggest advantage. Let's start getting involved in extracurricular activities, be it in school or out of school, be it a hobby or a business. Let's start showing, that we are more than just things that we're studying. Let's demonstrate that we have these specific skills that employers want, and we do that through extracurricular activities. You can't just do that through a degree. Start drafting your CV as early as possible, and let's ask for help. If you need help, go and look for it. Let's make a LinkedIn profile. Let's use the tools that are available to us. Let's look for those smaller companies. Let's attend those workshops that are on LinkedIn for free. Let's go do a micro credential. You can do that on LinkedIn as well. And let's start applying for internships. If you have an opportunity, please do that. At Propsle, we look at it essentially as try before you buy. Go see what it's like to work there before you have to work there. And in Malaysia, there's a very established pipeline of working the company before you get as an intern and then getting a full-time offer. So, if you do like the company, if you see an opportunity for an internship, by all means, go and apply for it. Now, before I move to questions, what I do want to show you guys is this, which is essentially your page. So this is Faculty Undang-Undang UKM-career portal .propsle.com. I have made a tiny URL link. It's this. Let me copy that for you guys as well. So it's the banner that's down there now. So if you guys type that, you can go there, or if you go to this link, bit.ly/UKM careers, that should appear in your chat right now. That's also going to give you guys a link to this page. So this is the page that is for you guys. And on the top here, you can search your jobs, you can browse employers, you can go advice, with tons and tons of advice articles for you guys, how to write a CV, how to go for an interview, what skills should be showcasing on social media. All those articles are there for you guys. What events we have going on, feel free to attend any of the events we have for you. But main is this, and it's look for how do we set up there. Maybe if I law graduate in Google, I'm not going to get these kind of search results, and it's simple. In Propsle, we do all the work for you guys. All you have to do is this. You just have to tell me what job you're looking for. So, for example, let's be looking for graduate. Obviously, we have your apprenticeships. your chambering or your internships. But let's just say, if, in this example, you're getting a graduate job, and then you got to tell me what you're studying. So in this case, it's law, right? Then you just search button. That's all you guys have to do. We get all the companies to work with us to tell us what degrees can apply for whatever graduate program that they have, or whatever um, role they have, essentially, right? We force them to give us those details. And you can see, okay, this is what's available right now for law graduates in terms of the small jobs that are in Malaysia, but we also have jobs that are from everywhere, and these numbers change every single day. So today maybe 6 or 7, but tomorrow it could be 200. The day after that it could be 1,000. Jobs close and open, while literally right now in the season where the jobs are about to open, very rarely only companies like Shell and stuff kind of have rolling year on year tons of jobs that are constantly opening and closing, but most companies are pretty seasonal. So right now the numbers may look little, but I promise you, if you come back in maybe a day or two, it's going to be way more. And my best advice is this, right? One, um, if you tell me what specifics, if you have already told me you're studying law, which you did here, you can um, specify it a bit more, maybe doing legal studies, etc. And then you can also tell me, okay, I'm doing law, but what are the law jobs that are hiring within energy? What are the law jobs that are hiring within medical consulting? What are the law jobs that are hiring within accounting and advisory? You just click that, and that's gonna filter out for you. Uh, and it's easy as that, right? So that's how you find these jobs that are hiring law students but are not essentially law jobs. And that's essentially we, it's the easiest possible way to find what jobs are available for you. And the best thing to do is apply for as many jobs as you can. That's the best advice I can give to any uh, graduate. A lot of graduates think, okay, I have like X amount of companies and I'm going to apply to X amount of jobs. But trust me, apply for everything that comes your way, even the jobs that say 2 to 3 years of experience, even the jobs that don't even seem that you should be working. Just apply, because the worst case scenario is nothing happens. The best case scenario is you get an interview, and the more interviews you go for, the better candidate you're going to become, the more comfortable you're going to be in interviews. And when the right interview rocks up, be prepared. I would apply when I was studying or looking for a job. I'll do something like 10 to 15 applications a day, and I just apply. So you just click apply now, and it applies, and it's literally make it as easy as possible for you guys. But apply to as many jobs uh, as you can, because it's the best shot of getting the job that you want. So Propsle is like at the beginning, I was like, oh, it's helping you guys find a best fit job, etc. It's this. So there are companies, and on every company, we essentially do this. We have reviews, we have graduate stories, excuse me, we have data life, and why all these things are here is to give you guys context. So what reviews are is these are literally your reviews from 118 graduates that are currently working in Deloitte right now. Obviously, there is a very basic pro and con page, but it goes much deeper than that. What's the career prospects like? What's the culture like? Are they satisfied working there? What's the recruitment strategy like? What's the salary like? So really, a lot of things pass in Deloitte. A lot of graduates are very happy with the salary. What's the working hours like? It's to give you guys the context, right? Because if all these things apply to you, then you're going to be like, okay, I can work here. If you click learn more, you can see all their responses one by one. So you get 90 to 100 responses as to why we got this 8.4 score from that. You've got graduate stories. It's literally stories of these graduates who are working there. Some of them come from different industries. So they tell you like, okay, what's it like being a STEM student that's not working in advisory, or what's it like being a law student that's not working in advisory? To give you guys context. And then there's also day in the life. Literally, oh, uh, you know, I've worked and I want to know what's like to work in the office. So all these questions that you may want to know, like what's the day to day like, what I wear to the office, what do I do? We give you guys all that information, so you can go, you can see what it's like. It gives you guys better context. So before you hit the apply button, you have a bit more understanding about it. obviously we try and do this with every company. We're moving into doing it in Malaysian companies now, so some of them have it, some of them don't. But it should be there for whoever has it, and it's quite a lot. So like I said, check on every day. We'll put in the jobs for you guys, and just apply, apply, apply. That's the best advice I can give you, right? This is going to be here. Um, if you're in first year, it'll be here until you're in fourth year. If you're in third year, you can still use it 2 years out of if you're in fourth year. Sorry, you can still use it 2 years out of university, 3 years out of university. So it's there for you to use. So by all means, please use. If you have any questions, just write to us. There should be a little support thing down there. So just ask us any questions that you have. We have all your, standard law people from all around Asia as well. We also have your general top employees in Malaysia as well. So just go for it, apply for what's there. Don't be afraid. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's the website. I guess the last thing is, do you guys have any questions? You can just drop it in the comments, guys, if you have any questions. But yeah, I'll give you guys 5 minutes to see if you guys have any questions. Does this website, Harith asked, does this website cover all states in Malaysia, both rural and urban? Yep, we get jobs from everywhere. Malaysia, West Malaysia, yeah, everywhere. And it's not just Malaysia. We have jobs from all around Asia, Pacific as well. So lots of jobs from Australia, lots of jobs from New Zealand, um, Singapore, Indonesia, India, Philippines. So if you guys think if you want to move, etc., we also give you guys jobs from all those places. So go for it. Apply for whatever job suits your fancy. Good question. Harith asked again, if we get the job or we call for the interview, does Propsle contact us directly? Does Propsle contact us directly with the employer? The employer will contact you guys directly. So we essentially, for most cases, are probably like a middleman. But yeah, we'll get you guys in contact with the employer, and then everything's processed at the end, and then they will contact you. Do we need to pay charges? It's completely free for you guys. We don't charge you guys a single cent. We never will charge a single cent. You can apply for as many applications as you want as well. There's no limit. So literally go crazy. Like you just apply for as much as you want, use it as much as you want. You You can make an account, and then we'll send you guys like job suggestions that we think, oh yeah, maybe this job would be good for you. Uh, if you want to, if not, just apply for the jobs. I guess we can give it till 10:20, so like 4 more minutes, and then no more questions. We can wrap it up. Ask other faculties other than faculty now can use this. Yes, so we got jobs everywhere. So please use jobs from. If you're not from faculty now, please do use it anyway. Go tell your friends about it. This was all about doing anything. Like it's not about, oh, you're doing law, you must be a lawyer, or you're doing engineering, you must be an engineer. It's, let's just get you the best you can, and because of that, we have job opportunities from all industries. So yeah, just get on it, tell your friends about it, and yeah, like I said, go crazy. Thank you for the question. Uh, Aliyah asked, can students from other faculties in UKM? Yes. So just answer that question. Anyone can use it. This is an initiative that we have done with the faculty undang-undang, but anyone can use it. So like I said, bit.ly/UKM careers. Let me copy that for you guys again. Yep. Scroll up there. Any other questions? If you do have any other questions after this, maybe you don't want to ask here, you can find me on LinkedIn. That's my LinkedIn name. You can just drop me a message there. Happy to help. Yeah, I think that is all. I'll give you back the mic and we can wrap this up.
Thank you very much, Tarma, for your thorough explanation and also the tips for us in order, to start and kickstart our career after this. So I think that is for today. Thank you very much, everyone that attend this session. Thank you very much, Tarma and also Prosper for helping FUUKM in this initiative. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.